Hi, good morning. Good morning, everybody. We're broadcasting live. We're just kind of waiting for
Hi,
everyone to come on board. Hi, good morning, Heather.
how are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
It's great to see you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, good. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well,
I
actually,
wish,
I'm to be on the internet, right? Not
y-
here.
I love your virtual background, by the way. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. But you know, it kind of messes up with the chair because it's black. So it feels like, at least on my end, I can see it kind of
Yeah.
wavering.
It's all good, it's all good. I wish I could see all of our attendees' faces. So we are live because it is noon. We just, if you guys could all hang in there for just a second. We're waiting for Erika McNamara to join us. We had a few technical difficulties. I think it was my bad, so I apologize. So, um,
Well, funny enough, one of the things we're going to talk about is being flexible because these kinds of things happen.
yes, they do. And I think a lot of people are adapting to using technology in a new way that they never thought they would use 2 months ago, right? So,
Well, I went to court the other day, went to court, on Zoom, and I told my client, wait, I'll call you and let you know if you should log in because I just wasn't sure. And so I said, hold on, Judge, let me call him. And he's like, but we're recording and we're on YouTube.
oh, you were live. Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of, this is kind of slick because you can go to Facebook Live and there's all kinds of features. And I love getting the emails from like the Zoom tech support. They have a good, I'm kind of doing this
Yes.
free plug for Zoom, but just some of the things that you can do and look into to make sure everything's secure. I know that you and I had a little bit of discussion talking about security, especially in your line of work. Being an attorney, it's really important that you have the technology that allows you to be secure as you can be, I guess.
So Erica just came into my office and let me know that she is unable to connect for some reason.
Oh, okay. Ask her to close out Zoom and reopen it, and she should be able to do that. And then I did send her a refresh email link just like a few minutes ago.
Excellent.
So
All right.
we'll see if she can get on. So, well, I'm gonna do a little introduction with you because for the folks that are tuning in, Heather Nalley is an attorney in Howell, well, Livingston County, I should say, right? Is that a better way to say it?
Statewide, really, when you think about it.
Okay, okay.
I've done cases in the UP. Rogers City is one of my favorite places to go up in Presque Isle.
That's way up there.
Yeah, it was great. I got to do a little vacation while I attended court. Funny thing, I met with the prosecutor in the morning, and the prosecutor said, here's what you need to argue as a defense attorney. And I said, well, thank you. And he goes, well, on Tuesdays, I'm a prosecutor in front of this judge, but on Wednesdays in the next county, she's a judge and I'm a defense attorney.
Oh my gosh. Small town at its best, right?
It is. It is.
Well,
So,
Erica has joined us. Yay. Good
No, right.
good afternoon, Erica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Katie?
I am good. So Erika McNamara is joining us as well. She is an attorney as well. And I know the three, just so you guys all know, the three of us, we chatted about a week ago,
mhm.
kind of brainstorming on some of the topics that you guys would like to share to help area businesses about the legalities of everything that is going on. So I want to first just say thank you so much for your time, for being here. I think it's so important and that businesses connect and help each other because in the long run, we're all going to help the economy. That's kind of the train of thought, right? That whole snowball effect. It's got a negative and it can have a positive. So I'm kind of rooting for the positive. So before we get started, I want you guys to share a little bit about kind of your practice, how you guys work together. Because I know that it seems like you guys work together, what your specialty is, but I wanted to share something that I found on the internet this morning with everyone because I thought it would maybe bring a smile to everyone's face. I'm kind of a research girl. I did a little stalking on the two of you. And
Oh, no.
No, it's all good. I said it was good. It's going to be a smile. So if you look on Gentry Nalley's website, and I pulled up your profile, Heather, and it's when we look at websites, we're looking for your background, your specialty, what kind of I personally look for how community oriented you are, and how kind of what your background is. And there is a quote next to your biography that I laughed out loud, literally, and I wanted to share it with everybody because I thought it was so cool. So she's got a great, by the way, the photo you have of yourself, that full-length photo in that black dress, is really, really awesome. But Chandra Rhimes is the person that this quote, and I want to read this quote. "I am not lucky. You know what I am? I am smart. I am talented. I take advantage of the opportunities that come my way, and I work really, really hard. Don't call me lucky. Call me a badass." And I just like, oh my gosh, like, how empowering is that? And that so fits you from what I know about you. So I just thought I'd share that. I thought it was a really cool quote. So, so with that being said, Heather, I'm going to put you on the spot. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your practice, all that good stuff.
Well, thank you. So I'm very excited to be here, and Gentry Nalley consists of two attorneys that make up the practice. My partner, Kevin Gentry, is the fire chief in Green Oak. He has 3 firehouses under his belt. And then on his extra time, he practices law. And he practices at the Court of Appeals and Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court, which we currently have a case pending where we're suing the state of Michigan. So it's a really interesting practice with him. We also do some municipality law with fire authorities. And then he teaches at Michigan State University as well. So he's a pretty busy guy and a single dad. And then I do personal injury, criminal law, family law, a little bit of business work here and there. I taught at Cooley Law School for about 11 years out of my career, and I really enjoyed that. But my practice became one where the business and the practice was so much I couldn't really do justice to it all. So it's something that I've left off recently, but I still try to judge moot court competitions. I still take interns and externs from college and law schools, independent studies, things like that. So I try to be a community-based firm, if you will. I did a lot of public defense work for this community for 19 years. I handled 75 felonies a year for them on top of juvenile work or pretty much anything when a judge needed things. Really now, we've bought a new building in Howell, right outside of town. We're really excited about it. We're right on Main Street, and there's a lot of changes coming to the building. Erika is going to be moving in with us, but we are not losing her Brighton office. We're just going to serve our clients more with Zoom, no matter where you are. If you're on vacation and you want to spend an hour of your time talking with me to deal with something, Zoom is going to work now. But also, if you want to meet with us when we can, we're going to have offices in Brighton and Howell, and that's really convenient for this whole community, right near the expressways. So I'm excited for this next year because practice is just going to change with all of this. But right now, really I want to focus on how to help my fellow businessmen, because that's really what this chamber is all about. It's not just lawyers. And there are a lot of things in all of our businesses that we all have to consider. And that's what I think Erika and I are going to focus on. But I'll transition and let Erika tell you a little bit about herself and her practice.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Heather. So Erika, take it away. Tell us about yourself, what you like to practice, your relationship with Heather, and so on.
Oh, well, I'm Erika McNamara, and I'm an attorney here in Livingston County. And the most part of my practice is estate planning, but the other part, which some people don't know, is business law. I have an MBA from Eastern Michigan, and I used to run a business with an American company and a Chinese company in China. I have a lot of experience with assisting businesses and setting up the business for the business owner and writing contracts. And so the things that we're going to talk about today are exactly in my wheelhouse. And, I'm very, I know that quote is on there, lucky. I am lucky to have met Heather. The list of all the things that she's done as an attorney, and she's asked me to come in here and join her in this new practice. I'm going to be of counsel for Judge Nalley, but I'm still going to have my office in Brighton. So like Heather said, we're going to have two offices. So if one is better suited for you, then that's the one that you can come to. But certainly once all this is over, you know, we've done a lot of improvements to this building that she bought. It's right here on Grand River, on Elm Street in Grand River in downtown Howell. And you probably pass it all the time when you come to Howell.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know you guys have moved during all of this, so kudos to you for getting set up and being creative. I think a few people that have moved during this time have gotten creative. So now I know that we've kind of talked a little bit before on what you guys wanted to share. I know that there's the business component. What should they do legally to prepare themselves? So, and I don't know if you guys have like a running list. I like to have these conversations kind of fluent, and sometimes the best material comes out. I mean, yeah, we kind of have a little agenda, but, you know, a little shooting from the hip. I mean, I think everyone's concerned about employees, you know, like what is the legality of, okay, they're making more money on unemployment, you know, the coming back and all of that. And I know you guys are handling some of this. Is that correct?
We have received calls from both sides of the coin, from employers and employees, and we've been parsing through everything that comes out. You know, the big thing for us is telling people to stay current as much as they can, because every day there's something new for us as attorneys to read and try and figure out how can we advise the employee or how can we advise the employer.
So what advice do you have for I mean, I know nothing's concrete and you can't give like concrete legal advice, you know, without the hourly rate, right? So, but I guess, you know, do you have like any tips or anything that you can share with them? Because I think a lot of people are feeling uneasy and they're uncomfortable, and maybe they do wish they had a little bit of like an attorney friend to say, hey, can you give me a little guidance here?
Well, actually, Katie, you know, Eric and I, after talking with you, we really started looking over the internet and kind of thinking, what is everybody else saying about this? And what is everybody else doing? Because again, it's not an attorney problem. It's a business problem. It's a community problem. So we looked at it. We started getting overloaded. This was going to be a 9-part series if we really covered everything, which is the problem. So we have narrowed it down to kind of, I think, 4 major areas. Is that right, Erica? To just kind of really give businesses and employees, give everybody kind of an idea, not only how to handle themselves, but also how to work with each other. And I think that that's going to be really important. But I will tell you, one of the things Erica and I have started looking at is where do we find our information at? And I'm going to give a plug to LinkedIn. You know, Facebook, I have heard, you know, I think that the Tiger King, somebody from there actually created this. That's what you read on Facebook, right? This whole pandemic. But, you know, LinkedIn, I think people are a little more conscientious of what they share. I see a lot of people sharing original documents. I'm really finding out all of these executive orders like right away, because the Supreme Court and the governor's office, who I'm friends with on LinkedIn, whether I like their policies or not, I want the information. So I'm giving that plug because frankly, I'm learning a lot about what people think about what's going on, but also the facts about what's going on. And so that's where we're starting a little bit with some of this.
And I agree with you on LinkedIn. It's more, it's for professionals, right? And I've heard LinkedIn is where it's at as far as business goes. If you're not on LinkedIn and the chamber, I have to do a plug because with all of this, we sort of looked at LinkedIn too. Yeah, I have personal, but also, you know, now the chamber has a page. So it is important that you're on LinkedIn. I think it is a good, I agree with you, it's a good source of information. Are there any other sources that people could look into as far as, you know, does the state have something? Does the county have something for employers to lean on?
OSHA, the OSHA website, if people are looking online for information about what they're supposed to be doing during this time, then the OSHA website has instructions on it. The CDC website has instructions on it. And of course, the state of Michigan, michigan.gov has information on their website too. I think the big thing is it's overwhelming, like Heather said, even for us who look at documents every day and can kind of hone in on what it is that we're looking for right away. We can find it, but you know, if you're not used to doing that, it could take up your whole day trying to find the little piece of information that you might be looking for. So looking up those websites, figuring out how to use your technology to hone in. Or the other important factor here is that it's time for businesses to start using their professionals to help advise them, because we are the ones that are staying current. And this isn't only attorneys, this is, you know, your insurance person, your CPA, your accountant, whoever that person is, please, you know, use them. That's why you hired them in the first place. If you don't have them, then it's time to get on the phone and contact us so that we can assist businesses during this time and make sure that you're in compliance. That's going to be the big item going forward, as far as I can see it, is being in compliance and making sure that you're running a safe business. Not just for the business, but for the employees, but also business to business. And Heather brought that up at the beginning, right? The chamber is not just a bunch of individuals, it's businesses networking together and working together to have a good commerce and to have a nice community. And so, you know, as a business owner, leading by example and getting all these policies and procedures in place is going to be very important.
And so one of the things that we've talked about too, you know, we are in a similar position. We're attorneys who go to a courtroom or meet with clients, but we also run a business. So then you ask us to put together policies and procedures and figure out what should we be doing for our clients, or for our clients, for our employees, but also what about the businesses that come into ours? So what brought this to the forefront for Erika and I was, as you said, we've been moving. I've had IT people coming in, and I was really nervous about that because I kept my office very clean. And I said, boy, the one gentleman was sitting out in his car for so long, I wondered what he was doing. And finally I looked out there and he was suiting up. I mean, he's putting on his gloves, he's checking his mask. And it gave me an instant feeling of relief, because every single one of the gentlemen that came in that day, that's what they did. And so I got a feeling of comfort from their business. I'll just say it was UTech. Thanks, Jennifer McGovern and Kevin Van Cannell. But that brought up a good topic, though. We're all interacting. So it's yet another thing, is making sure other businesses are aware that we care about you too, and making sure that we're staying safe. So I know that was one of the areas we put together. There was a slide and we had some information for you on.
Okay, so a couple things are coming to mind. So I know you talked about like policies and procedures and what do you do and how do you handle your employees, how do you handle the customer coming into the building. And I do want to share, especially with everyone listening, on Friday in the morning at 9 a.m., I hope you join me. I'm going to do a webinar, and I'm launching, it's really a kind of a living document, but it's a 12-page back to business toolkit. Now some of this material is from the chamber. A lot of it is from other resources. You know, why reinvent the wheel when we can work together to create one thing? But this toolkit, I'm working on it this week. Getting prepared, policies, planning a safe reopening, sample reopening plans. So when you talk about policies and procedures, what is your plan? Work on getting that stuff now. You don't want to wait until 2 days before when, like, okay, you can open your doors. Oh, shoot, what do we do? Like, you got to be thoughtful and think about this stuff. I'm going to have
Katie, I want to just interrupt you and say that happened to us today. We did a run through, Erika and I, and she set up our conference room. We have an entrance from the outside that we're going to instruct our clients to utilize. And we have an entrance to that room from our office. So the idea is that the client will never come into the office, not contaminate, nor be contaminated in that way. And Erika likes to look towards the office. So she set her chair up and everything on the side where the clients come in. And I said, you're crossing, their air. And until we saw that, we didn't realize. And so we switched that around, and really they're only going to be coming into the first maybe 10 feet of the room. It'll be easier to clean. But until we practiced it, we didn't see those things.
So that's a great point. I may steal that for Friday. Practice your run through.
Yeah.
Practice it with a couple employees. What a great tip. So thank you. Yeah. So back to this toolkit, and this toolkit is going to be for all members. It's going to be available. It'll have sample employee screening in there. It'll have signs that you can print off and put on your door, like no handshake zone, or please respect the X's on the floor, or whatever policies you decide to implement. So this is going to be a really good tool, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And there's actually Word documents that you can make your own into what your plan is, that you can share with your employees and your customers. So just a heads up on that. So you talked to, and I want to get a little bit more, I don't want to say personal, but a little bit deeper, I guess. There are businesses out there that the employees are mad at the employers for laying them off and can't bring them back. And, there could be little snowballs throwing that, we're going to ban you, we're going to badmouth you on social media, we're going to, this happens everywhere, not just in Livingston County. How does an employer, how can they legally protect themselves, like the social media thing, what is it called, defamation of character type of thing, right?
It can be, right, because it's a loss of business. If, and this is actually on the list of things that we did want to talk about
Great.
this hour, and that's social media policy. And I've seen a lot on Facebook of this back and forth within employees writing terrible things about their employers, which is weird because they haven't been working there for 10 years and now this is just coming out, and then the employer has to come back and write a whole big long thing explaining the process. And going back to the beginning, communication is huge in all this, because I think maybe the employees were left out of the decision-making process or didn't understand what was happening, and it wasn't communicated to them, right? When things aren't communicated to us in a good way that we understand, we become fearful, and we start to do things like write on Facebook. But we've also, for me, I've always told my business clients that they need a social media policy, and it has to be in the employee handbook. And what's okay and what's not okay. Kids at school, they have a social media policy, and you as a business owner also should have a social media policy about what's okay and what's not okay.
Well, and let's be realistic about some things. Well, we can say, hey, you might be able to sue someone for slander, libel, defamation. Two things are concerning. Number one, most of us business owners might be considered public figures, which makes it more difficult because we should expect that kind of stuff. But number two, you have to be able to get something for all the money you would put out for a lawsuit. And if they're not collectible, that's just a huge issue. And so we want to avoid all of that. I think by having some kind of social media plan in place, and disclosure of information, because some of the things that the clients are telling, that the employers are telling people on Facebook or different social media platforms, sometimes I worry that they are releasing some confidential information out into the public. So I think that it's just good business, period, to have that in place with how social media is. I also think that it's important for employers to be cognizant in their policies to not let employees post during work time. There could be a sense of someone thinking it's from your work. They're in their office, they're taking a picture, they're in the middle of the workday and everybody knows they work for you. Those are realistic concerns outside of COVID.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
and the other thing, a bigger consideration now is all of these video conferences, right? This is being recorded. So what are you going to do with this video, Katie, once we're done? Or is somebody sitting there with their iPhone taping it right now and having it as their own personal video? Strange, but it could happen. What are they going to do with it? Are they going to be uploading it to YouTube and making this huge parody of your workplace and all of the information that's being disseminated? That's
Wow.
pretty,
Yeah.
right? Right? That's what people are. I guarantee that's what people are going to do. They're going to take these recordings and make their own videos out of them and put them on YouTube.
So you opened up, Erica, you're opening up a huge can of worms, because who's to say, we talked about this the other day. I share my screen and I'm an airhead and I have confidential stuff up, and when I forget that I'm sharing, and all of a sudden you see something that you shouldn't have seen, because especially I would think as an attorney, if you saw something in regards to another case that you weren't supposed to see, what do you do? I mean,
Well, I think, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that could get ugly quick as far
Well, I think
as
it comes right back to
legalities.
having policies and procedures, and people aren't thinking about that. I mean, I don't know how many meetings I've been on where, I will be honest, if I stood up right now, I've got jeans on, and I won't say what court I was in the other day, but I had jeans on then too. But I've got a jacket on and I'm sitting and I have a shirt on with a collar because I'm representing my business. And I may not always wear a shirt and with a collar and a coat, but I'm still going to recognize that I'm representing my business. My hair better be combed. I mean, some of the things that I'm seeing on business calls on Zoom don't reflect well on the business. And so we're right back to that whole idea of having a policy and procedure, and it should include how you dress. It should include, putting everybody in a waiting room before moving in. There should be decisions with Zoom. Or is it a locked meeting? Is it a meeting that has a password? Is it a meeting that is recorded? Do you allow other people to share their screens? So you have to practice, train, and make sure that you have policies. This would be good for your toolkit. It
would. And yeah, I appreciate that. I'm making some notes here as we go. So we have a question coming in, and I hope you guys are game for we'll just kind of answer questions as they come in. And those of you that are joining us today on today's webinar, I appreciate the chats. It's nice when people say hello and things like that. But if you have a question, please type it in the question, and I'll facilitate those for you guys. So Stacy is asking, in regards to social media, how can you monitor that without becoming quote unquote friends with your employees?
That is a big issue, and it brings up that question, like, are you friends with your employees? Here's what I would say. For a long time, I did not, I still don't have a Facebook page of my own, to be quite honest with you. I use my husband's for that reason, because I didn't want to have to tell, so-and-so secretary no, and, I really wanted some private time. So, I think that what you could do, though, is you could have them like the business page. I mean, everybody's got a business page for their Facebook, and you can go in and check it. You're going to have to monitor it. You're going to have to also know your employees. We're such a closely held business here. I will tell you that I am friends personally on Facebook with my office manager. It's the first time, though, in 20 years of practice where I think, gotten that close with somebody, but it's always a concern.
Yeah, the joys of social media and the challenges. It is really a challenge, and it's hard to manage that. It really is.
You'll find out. That's the other consideration here too, is once there's a couple of streams that went a couple weeks ago, and it took probably 45 minutes after the one stream started before I got a text from somebody saying, look at this, and what do you think? So again, all the businesses know each other, and we know a lot of people in town, and so you'll find out what's happening if somebody is doing that. And of course, then if they make a private room, you'll still find out because people talk and
Yeah.
they can't keep secrets.
Yeah,
Well,
and I agree with you. You guys talked about the whole policy, the social media policy, which is great. And if they're still doing it, I believe there's a special place in hell for people that abuse or are malicious, or especially on social media. I don't know, I see more ugly things than I see positive things. I agree with you, Erica. I think it will come back and bite you. So.
Belonging to organizations like this, I think is also a way to combat stuff like that, because here we are teammates in this, right? And so, if I start seeing that go around, even if I don't know the business owner, perhaps I can, address you, Katie. I mean, you're always open for us. You're always there for us. If I were to see something out on the internet about a local business that's in our chamber, then I think you might be a good person to at least come and alert the situation. Hey, this is out there, having networking in place and making it a team environment will also help combat that.
Yes, good point. I agree. Thank you.
Another topic that Heather and I talked about just this morning that has come up is the tracing of where the virus is coming from. And Heather was telling me all about it, and it was very interesting. Heather, can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, so I was listening to the BBC, who I just praise them again. I don't know why I'm plugging everybody. I feel like I should get some money coming in my way.
It's okay. We all have our resources that we like, and you might as well share. It's good to share resources. It's all good.
Well, it's pretty sad when you have to go to London, to get your American news. But they were interviewing the San Francisco Department of Health, or someone from there, and they were pointing out from their perspective. So it's not a criticism on their perspective. I'm just their mindset. They are all excited to help do this contact tracing, and they were saying that they're offering these businesses the ability to come in when your employee has come in contact with someone with COVID or has contracted COVID, and they're going to see who everybody they've met with through your business, and they want to come into your office, and they want to give counseling, and they want to talk to all of your other employees. And I got thinking, no, number one, I can't let people know who some of my clients are. So the thought of the government coming into my business doors and going through my business raises a lot of concerns. Also, we're asking people to do things. I've heard people saying, oh, I want you to take your temperature every time before you come in. Okay, I don't think that's intrusive. I don't think that's invasive. But asking people what their secondary diseases are, what kind of medications they're on, which I have heard of a large automotive manufacturing company doing. And then when you're honest about that, they're sending you to a doctor and wanting to talk about those things. I start worrying about that because I think of things like promotions. So if my office knows I'm pregnant, if my office thinks that I have cancer, are they going to pick someone else for promotion because of that? I mean, there's just a slew of concerns with this contact tracing. And then I'm also worried about not knowing who has COVID. So I don't know where you draw the line, but you have to be considerate of your employees' privacy, of your clients' privacy. And I will tell you this, if you start getting contacted to do some of this contact tracing or something as a business, I do think you need to reach out to your attorney. I think they need to evaluate what you're being asked to turn over and what they're asking you to reveal, because that could be a concern. People are suing the governor over this stuff. We don't know what's going to come out as legal or not legal, but we know that there are some privacy concerns, and I think you have to be really conscientious of that.
Great points. Thank you so much. Erika, I want to put you on the spot a little bit. I know that we have talked estate planning. This is more, I think, personal. I mean, but there's still people that they also need to think, what if I get COVID? What if something happens to me? And what happens to my business? If I'm a business owner so can you talk a little bit about that and what you're seeing and how you handle those situations? I mean, you know, you have to see somebody sign a document. I know we talked about that. So can you talk a little bit about that and where you think that is shifting for personal and business?
I think, that's a very good point, and that's how actually estate planning and business law go together, because a lot of these businesses are small businesses, and the owner is one person and they might employ maybe 10 people. Those 10 people depend on you. We're seeing that right now, right? With all these small businesses. It's not just your business, it's the business that, if you have 10 employees, you support their entire family. So you're talking about 100 people that depend on you as a business owner. And, when I sit down with someone who's going to start their business for the first time, I say, oh, we need to have an operating agreement, and we need to have a durable power of attorney that only focuses on your business. If you're the only person that can sign the checks or can make a contract with another business, that's going to be an issue, because if you are recovering from COVID, or if unfortunately something happens to you other than recovering from it, then your business could fall apart, and those 100 people that are depending on you also fall apart. So if we make this operating agreement, even if you have a business now, we can make an operating agreement, and inside of that we say who the next person in charge is. And we make a durable power of attorney that focuses only on the business aspects of your life, right? Because we're supposed to be separating our personal from our business, right? We're not commingling the two, because that creates a huge liability. So you can make a special durable power of attorney that only focuses on those aspects of your life that deal with your business. And that would allow someone else to manage your business while you're recovering. Or if we have the operating agreement in place and we have someone's name there, if you pass away, that person will come to the top and figure out how to wind down your business in a good fashion, sell it, or maybe keep it open, depending on what's best for that situation.
You know what's so great about Zoom now? I mean, we're hearing about, thankfully, many people getting sick with this illness, but maybe not having such bad symptoms. So for 14 days, you quarantine yourself, you stay away. With Zoom, you can still run your business, but you have the issues of the signing checks and different things like that. So we're right back to policies, procedures, and planning.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
And this is the time, during the time when we're ramping up to get started again, this is the time to review your handbook and your policies and your procedures, and adding those new policies and procedures and getting them in place. But keeping in mind to be flexible and ready to adjust if you have to in the future.
I appreciate that. Good information, you guys. And I know too that I'm just kind of refresh my brain and have a little list here of some of the things that we had talked about that are important. So can you give us an update on the court system?
Yeah, and the court system recently was talked about as being, it's a service, right? Like it is more than just a place where we go. You think about marriage licenses, properties that have to be sold, people that have committed crimes, all kinds of things have to be dealt with. So the court has to move on. I'm so proud at our Supreme Court. I'm a huge Bridget McCormick fan, so she's up for re-election. Vote McCormick for Supreme Court. It's non-partisan. But, she has been just instrumental on getting the courts training, fast, and making sure that they're up and running on Zoom, and trying to keep it open to the public by, either live streaming through their websites, doing YouTube, different things so that people can still have an open court system, and things are moving forward. The Michigan Supreme Court had oral arguments on Zoom, and for a long time you couldn't see Court of Appeals arguments and Michigan Supreme Court arguments unless you were there. So it's been exciting in that regard because now it's opened it up to more people, I think. Every day on LinkedIn, the Supreme Court is listing every new county and how they are live streaming their court hearings. So it's really cool. I think that we're going to see a lot of this stay in the future. There are an awful lot of court hearings where all it really is housekeeping. I say things like, you know, how long before trial? Are there things that we need to get ready? And we do them by phone when appropriate, but this is so much more interactive. I think that that will be used a lot. But really of concern are the things that are required to have people in, like jury trials. That impacts civil law, so dog bites, car accidents, but also criminal law. So we have all of these people who are sitting in jails waiting for trials. And the reality of the situation is that the system can't force people to be ready for this. People have to be ready for this. So the Supreme Court has said no jury trials until at least June 22nd, and they'll reevaluate it before then. Wayne Circuit Court has said no jury trials until August. I'm on a very large case here in the community, and I was asked by the Lansing State Journal, what do you think about this? My client's very old. It's got national notoriety, this case. What shouldn't you push it? And I came back with a few things. Number one, do I really want to put a jury in a box next to each other concerned they're going to get sick? They're not going to listen to the facts of the case. They're going to have other things impeding their attention. How about the fact that these people have had to sit home for 6 weeks or whatever? They want to work. Now I'm going to pull them out of their job for another 3 weeks to sit through a trial. I mean, those are things that we have to balance with people's rights. And I think the courts are trying to do everything they can by kind of keeping tabs on things. So, you know, they are taking proofs on divorces and signing divorces that are worked out already. I have already been scheduled for evidentiary hearings on Zoom for the month of May for child custody and support. I think it's going to pose some difficulties, but this is my reality, so I'm just going to roll with it. And the courts are doing a great job at trying to figure this out because they weren't ready for it. And I'm really impressed with how fast they're moving.
That's good to hear. I appreciate that update. I think we all do. You know, like with any business, you have no choice, right? When you have no choice, you have to adapt. It's adapt or fail. So, you know, especially with the courts, there's no failing, right? So, you know, same with us, with our business model here at the Chamber, you know, we're using these tools and I guess, you know, the $1 million question is, and I've had this conversation with other folks is, do you see a forever change in the way we do business? I mean, I guess I'll just pose that too with Zoom and technology and the way we act around people's, you know, like you mentioned 6 weeks in the house, we have mental health to consider. I know it's a big factor right now. So I'm just curious, what's your opinion on all of that?
As far as me, yes, I think that business is going to be conducted largely like this. You know, right now, there's people that are fearful to go to the coffee shop, and I love to do that. I love to meet with other business people in the area and go and have a cup of coffee. But, you know, I've been doing it over Zoom, and it's nice. It works. You know?
I saw that you had your coffee, Erika. So we're having coffee. I saw.
I do.
And I'm promoting my husband's company. I'm good at promoting too there, Heather.
You know, yes, I think it's going to change. And in my area of law, estate planning, you have to sign the piece of paper. That's just the way it is. It's an archaic law, and now all of a sudden we've got this happening. And so right now I'm allowed to watch somebody over video sign their document. So, you know, that's their will. So we have to adjust. And I read an interesting thing, and going back to, you know, LinkedIn, somebody was saying, look, you know, remember Blockbuster, how Netflix came in and Blockbuster was like, oh, whatever, nobody's going to use that. And Blockbuster kept doing what they were doing, and finally they were like, uh-oh, how did this happen? Nobody wants DVDs anymore. Nobody wants to come here and pick movies. And they were shocked, right? And they closed all those stores. So there's you have to adjust. If Blockbuster would have grabbed onto that idea right at the beginning and said, oh, blockbuster.com online, no problem.
Streaming, yeah.
Competition for Netflix at this point. So there's an adjustment that has to occur for everyone. And going forward, I think that's where we're headed.
Well, and I will tell you, I think that it's going to expand my business in even a more positive way. So I can't remember if you were on yet, Erika, but Katie was asking me kind of, are you a Livingston County attorney? Like, where do you go? I'm like, I go everywhere. So I'm all over. But realistically, when I'm representing someone in Presque Isle, Rogers City up there, visiting with my client is much more difficult. You know, I'm driving up there, or I may be doing it closer to the court hearings than I want. This Zoom is going to make that kind of connection with my clients better. And I smile a little bit because prior to the coronavirus, Erika and I were considering a third office in a small county up in the thumb called Tuscola County, which is where I'm from originally. My parents have a very large meat business, and we farmed 600 acres growing up. It's just huge. And what I kept saying when I met Erika is all of these farmers, they don't want to leave their business for the day because there's no one to come in and take over for them. So it's really hard for them to drive an hour to their attorney, spend 2 hours there and drive back. It would be so cool if you would go see them. And she said, all right, I will. So my parents told other farmers, and we spend a lot of time driving up to Tuscola County to do that work and to assist them. Now we don't have to. And there were some people who said, well, we didn't want to make you drive so far. You know, we thought we'd just get somebody local, even though we heard you were really good. Well, now you don't have to be worried about any of that. So I think it's going to, let consumers be more choosy.
No, I agree. And you touched base a little bit about you feel like your practice may get a little busier. Do you see a lot more opportunities for attorneys with this post-COVID? And if so, in what?
Yeah, we've talked about that too. I don't relish this at all. And in fact, I feel really sad because for a lot of reasons, but there are a lot of people who are being delayed in taking the bar exam. So here we have the bar exam in July and February. And if you take it in July, you don't get your results till November. Well, your school loans come due, you can't work. I mean, it's a really tough subject. So the July bar, probably not going to happen. I don't think. I haven't heard, so I'm not up to date on that. But then those people are going to wait till February and they'll get their results in May or June. So there's a whole year where a new crop of attorneys are not coming in. And that is going to cause at least somewhat of a delay because will people choose to do other things? Will they take on administrative jobs that you don't have to be, sworn in to do? Or what about the people who just can't transition? So I love the law. It's great. And I really love the people who have been practicing for 30 and 40 years because honestly, I learned so much from them. They've seen it all and done it all. Some of them, though, have a hard time transitioning to paperless. Some of them are having a hard time transitioning to Zoom. And so I wonder how much this is going to change the people who want to continue practicing that maybe are on the edge of retiring. I think that it's going to really make a big change and shake up. And you got to stay on top of it if you're going to survive.
And do you think, thank you. And do you think that, I guess there's going to be more lawsuits out there with employees, employers? I mean, I guess that's another question too. I mean, I would think so. People are not happy.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole new area of law, COVID-19 law, where, they'll put up their banner and say, I practice this kind of law, because it's going to touch everybody and every aspect of our lives. And somebody's going to make a lot of money off of it.
We've been joking. It's like a blizzard. We're going to see babies in 9 months. We're going to see divorces.
A lot of babies in December. A lot of Christmas babies, I hear. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the truth. So I mean, people are stuck together, one-on-one here for how many weeks? And the pressures are building. So we're seeing it with the relationships. People have taken advantage of the COVID situation and not wanted to participate in parenting time. Money is shrinking for everybody. So somebody needs more money to pay for things, but somebody else lost money too, so they can't afford to pay more. It is really taking its toll. I think that we're going to have a lot of people wondering if the care that they received was appropriate. I think there's going to be a lot of look at what's happening in these retirement homes. I have a friend who's an RN in a home and he caught the COVID. There's a lot of concern. So yeah, I think that there's going to be a whole slew of litigation.
Yeah, I do too. So while we're wrapping up here, I know we only have about 10 minutes or so. If anyone that has joined us today has questions, please, you have two wonderful attorneys right here at your beck and call. So if you have any attorneys that are, any questions that are concerning you, whether it's personal or for your business, please, type in a question and we'll try to get those answered. So was there anything else that you guys would like to share today?
I guess the other item that I saw last night when I was looking over things is something called a shared responsibility agreement. And that is something that's going to be new, and that's kind of business to business. Like Heather was saying that the wireless people came in and got all suited up, and it was apparent to Heather what measures he was going to take in order to keep himself safe and keep the office safe and keep Heather safe. But it might be in everyone's interest as a business owner to have, this is what we do, here's our procedure, and ask the other business, what do you have? Okay, and this is our shared responsibility agreement. And that way you can cut down on the amount of fear that you might have having someone come in and assist your business in some way.
Yeah, great for, businesses and contractors and, more B2B, right?
Right.
So I noticed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I noticed that Stacy had a question, and it kind of dovetails into, we're back to this communication. The employees, if they are not sure that the businesses that are coming into contact with them are going to keep them safe, if they're not, convinced that you're keeping them safe. Stacy's question is, am I overdoing it by keeping track of all of this stuff? And I think the answer is no. I think that keeping a good record of any questions that you have, if people are taking temperatures and they're comfortable with that, I think that that's also a very good thing in keeping track of all of that. Right now, unless you sound like you're really off in fanatical left field, I'm going to say that there is probably not too much documentation. Like I said, just be careful of the types of information you're asking clients, employees to reveal, because employees might think they have to tell you things, and that's a very different situation than them wanting to tell you things.
Yeah, thank you. And just a little bit too, share, with Stacy's question about the whole temperature thing. We did a multi-chamber webinar series and we were talking about human resources, and Ecto HR did share a sample employee screening. It's really easy to do this you can put it on the cloud and employees can access it in the morning. They just do the date. And again, I'm sharing this in the toolkit that's coming out on Friday, the launch. But basically it has like the date, your temperature, are you coughing today? Do you have a shortness of breath? And it's very basic, but it's very COVID specific. And, I guess my question is, can employers do this? It's that gray area, right? Yeah, if you're coughing or you got the chills or you lost your sense of smell, guess what? We don't want you coming to work today. It's as simple as that. So I don't think this is my personal opinion. We're going to implement this at the chamber, right? But
I don't think those are invasive questions, and they match the CDC and OSHA type stuff. So that's where, again, asking someone if they're pregnant isn't realistic to COVID, but a temperature and things like that, it is. What's really difficult about this, the truth is that, what are they saying? Something of 50% of the people that have it don't show symptoms, or at least don't show symptoms right away. And you for sure know that you can have this virus and give it away before you have symptoms. So I take these questionnaires with 2 grains of salt. One, an employee may not really know. They just might not be symptomatic. Number 2, they have to be honest. And you hit on something, like maybe they're worried that if they tell me the truth, I'm not going to let them come in. So then when I hear a question like Stacy, like I'm documenting this stuff and I'm looking at people and watching, I think that that's important as a business owner. I mean, if you're hearing your person cough for 4 days in a row, it's maybe not allergies, you know, like, I don't know, but I think that it's going to take a little monitoring on top of that. But here's what I do know, is I think from a liability standpoint, I think that's an important thing for employers to do.
Yeah. Any other questions for anyone? Come on. Yeah, thank you. I mean, those are good points, and you know, we just have to kind of I think you have to cross your fingers and hope your employees are, you know, there's got to be something said for a little common sense, right? And a little understanding that, you know, there's other people that you're possibly giving this to, and you can't be, it's not a time to be selfish. We all understand that, you know, you may need to work or whatever, but if you're coughing, it's the right thing. Do the right thing. How's that?
Well, it surely doesn't help that we keep getting pollen alerts. We go from 80 degrees to 50. You know, it's like the back of my throat tickles.
You sure you don't want to ask them if they're taking medicine? Maybe they're taking it for allergies. No, just kidding. So.
Is that Zyrtec? Just go through their drawer. No, I'm kidding. Do not go through their drawer.
No. So you had talked, I know we're kind of wrapping up, so I do want to thank you ladies again for joining me today. It was fun, and I really like doing the Zooms at noon. We're going to try to do them every Tuesday and Thursday. I was really thrilled that you guys wanted to join me, and again, we're just trying to bring experts like you in your field and area leaders in our community like you to area businesses to help and show them that, you know, you have resources and, you know, recorded videos like this that we can put up on LinkedIn with your permission and things like that. So are you guys okay with that? Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to see your policy first, though.
Okay, I'm working on that. I guess with that being said, you know, if you guys don't have any closing remarks, again, I just wanted to say thank you so much.
I do want to say something really quick in closing. I just want to say, honestly, thank you, because I really meant it earlier when I said you're really reaching out. This is difficult for a lot of people, and honestly, these Zoom meetings, for the people to attend, there's a practice in that. Learning to like turn off the mutes and things, where we're all still doing Zoom meetings with that one person who won't shut off their microphone or
the background music. Yeah.
So, you know, there's more to it than that. And this is the new way. This is the new way to communicate and network. Thanks, Katie, for bringing us the practice on top of all the great information. But that's really what it turns out to be, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Really
and, you know, every morning I think, wow, this is bad. But then I think, no, look at all of the new things that are happening and everybody coming together and working together and focusing on the positive things. I know it's kind of hokey, but if you know, think about all the positive things that are, you know, happening to you and your business, it actually makes you feel better than focusing on all the bad things that are happening. And that's really important to have a positive attitude. I always remind myself, be flexible. And, you know, people who know me, I'm not very flexible with my plans, or when I get a plan in place, it's very difficult to get me out of the, no, we have to be there at 3 o'clock mode. But this has taught me you have to be flexible, and not only in your personal life, but in your business life too.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, Erika, these are good for kind of a mental health check too. I mean, I would recommend Zooming every day. I have a Zoom every day this week. Actually, I have 2 today. We have another one at 3 o'clock. I'm going to do a little plug for those of you, if you want to register, you still can. It's a multi-chamber Zoom at 3 o'clock with our 3 area fire chiefs and Sheriff Murphy to talk about what you can do in your business as far as implementing the safety, the actual physical structure, what things you should do, and an update on kind of what they're doing too, as far as in the county, what's going on fire and safety wise. So yeah, so that'll be good. So, but it's good to connect and use this technology. And you know what? You never know. I mean, as most of you know, kind of a collector and connector of people, and you never know, this could create an opportunity, and you don't know when it's going to pop. I mean, it might pop now, like if somebody, you don't know, someone may be like, hey, what's your phone number? So both Erika and Heather, their information's on our website if you guys need it, or shoot me an email and I can definitely connect you. But so you have to just kind of be optimistic and get on these Zooms, get on webinars. There's a lot of great webinars out there. So I would say tune into as many as you can. The more, like you said, Heather, there's good information. The more you know, the better you're going to be in preparing and setting yourself for success. So
I totally agree.
okay. So it's after 1 o'clock. I know us three could probably sit here and talk all afternoon. So, so I'll let you guys go. I want to thank everyone for tuning into today's Zoom at noon. Join us this Thursday, 3 o'clock today. Tomorrow's Business Builders at 11:30. Thursday is Zoom at noon with John O'Malley, who's the president of St. Joe's Hospital. So he's going to join me on our Zoom at noon on Thursday. And then Friday morning at 9 o'clock, grab your coffee, and we're going to launch the Back to Business Toolkit. So thank you again, Erika and Heather. You guys have a fabulous day. Stay warm. It's supposed to be cold.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Bye. Thanks again. I will talk to you soon.
Yes.
Okay, bye.